Hi everyone, I'm Sloan from SloanBella.com and I am back with another energetically channeled celebrity video. Now this young woman passed away in pretty much an explosion of energy. And I'm hesitant to use the word drama because drama might imply that she was causing the drama, but I don't feel like that actually. I feel like the circumstances were incredibly extreme, and most people don't have this kind of death, but it was an extreme, intense, volatile death for this woman, driving her car, Mini Cooper apparently, driving it, allegedly racing down the streets, hitting a house. The car's on fire, the house is on fire, she's put on life support until they can harvest her organs. And I'm talking about the late actress Heche, who was born on May 25th of 1969. Now, the very first thing I noticed about her chart, and I know you guys are going to ask me her rising sign, she is a Libra rising. And what I can teach you about Libra rising is they are almost always considered beautiful and lovely just because they are a Venus-ruled rising sign. So people find them attractive even if they aren't what we would call traditionally attractive. I have to love her because she was a pixie girl. She cut her hair into pixie all the time. So I have to appreciate that about her. And she had a face that could wear it both long and short. So she definitely was an attractive woman. But the Libra rising comes into this world to learn how to balance. They are born without balance. How do you learn how to do something? You are born in the opposition of that energy. Now, here's the other kicker, and this blew my mind. She had a Virgo moon. Okay, so she is a Gemini. And when you look at the Gemini sun and then you see the Virgo moon, you understand that that's a squaring aspect. One rules the lower vibration of the mind and one rules the higher vibration of the mind. Moon in Virgo is incessantly psychic. They know how to use their intuition better than any other sign, moon sign. It is logical, it is penetrating, it is direct. It is truthful, and they will speak it, and they will hit you with the darts of their truth, honestly. She had a stellium, 4 or more planets in the same sign. So she has her moon conjunct Pluto, conjunct Uranus, conjuncting Jupiter, all in Virgo. That's a hell of a lot of Virgo. And it's interesting because that's actually how intelligent this woman was, is as I looked through that energy. So sometimes I will look at the chart just to focus on the energy around the person. When I looked at that, I could understand the DNA structure energetically. And it comes from somewhere outside of the lineage that she was born into. There is a connection to a mother wound with this, with the moon in Virgo. However, what she's addressing to me, and I'm going to go right into it right now. She also had Saturn and Venus in the 7th house and Saturn in Taurus. So that will come in later. The usual, I say for that generation, she had Neptune in Scorpio. However, the very first thing I was shown by her was her mental illness. She wanted me to address what we call mental illness, not what she had, what we call mental illness. She wanted me to back it up all the way to age 3, between the age of 3 and 5. And she wanted me to kind of express to her. Now, I'm not saying mental illness doesn't exist, because it does exist. We know this. However, she is showing me being able to feel, hear, see, and absorb everything in her environment. Everything. And it was very topsy-turvy. There were a lot of secrets in her early childhood, and she knew them all. And she saw things. I have a feeling one of her parents took her with them while they were doing things they shouldn't have been doing. And I'm being directed to the father to say that, okay? So I feel as a small child, she was put in a position. So for example, going to someone's house, you shouldn't be there because you're married, and the child sitting watching TV or on the couch or in the buggy, whatever, and they are absorbing what is going on. They don't know what's going on because they're too little and they can't really understand it. So her psychic senses kicked in. This was one powerful woman. Virgo moon conjunct Pluto in a tight orb of 2 degrees. That's a medium. So that's someone who talks to the other side. That is somebody who understands 100% what is going on around them, even if they can't articulate it. And she's a Gemini with the Virgo moon. I'm positive she could articulate it. Like, I don't doubt that at all. Very quick-minded, very quickly, changing subjects all the time, jumping from one to another. When she talks about what they said was mental illness, she was set up vibrationally to experience things in a particular way that left her nervous system overloaded. I don't actually think we should have labeled her as mentally ill. She comes in and out of understanding what's going on around her because they pull her in and out of consciousness. She is pulled in and out of being conscious. What do I mean by that? I mean, when she's a little kid, the family dynamic is such that she is kind of an offering energetically, so she is pulled in many different directions. She not only caretake the rest of her family, she was basically, I'm going to use the word neglected, but neglected in a sense, because her needs were not met, and she was used as a conduit. She was used as a conduit energetically. Her family is aware of this. They are aware of this. She is saying she does not like the term mental illness. This was not a suicide, and she was not high on drugs at the time that she passed. This was a paranoid thought that continued in her head for 6 months prior to her passing. There was a paranoid thought underneath. So psychic information coming to her underneath the current where she kept hearing things, and she was very afraid of what she was hearing because what she was hearing was pushing her in a direction where she knew she was being a target. That targeting comes from when she's about 15 or 16 years old, when the family as a unit agreed to fellowship. I'm going to use the word fellowship. That's the word she wants me to use. Fellowship with some not so nice people. So we become part of their fellowship. Therefore, we engage in behaviors. Not so much me, I'm a kid. Not so much my siblings, they're kids. But more along the lines of parents, and not so much my mother. Now, she's explaining the connection to her mother, and there was a horrible kind of push-pull energy with the mother. Not necessarily because the mother didn't love her, because I think the mother did love, I can't speak to that. I feel like the mother loved her. We all do the best we can do. However, she pulled with Anne's energy. Push-pull, push-pull, push-pull. And Anne was led, okay, she's kind of showing me that she was led to certain relationships like a moth to a flame. So she was driven to these relationships and expected to participate in them. Her memory was wiped quite a lot. Now, I'm going to just say something here. I really hope I'm not picking this up correctly, but when she was young, 8, 9, 10, and she was old enough to understand things and go on outings, I think it's mostly with her father and whatever he was doing behind the scenes. Whatever she was doing, he'd take her with him. I feel like she was medicated on some level. So this is why she got in the habit of self-medicating. It was taught to her in childhood. So she's not really mentally ill the way that we say somebody's born with a biochemical problem. She's shaking her head to that. Like, I literally feel she's shaking her head. And when I say feel, I get snippets of it in my head that she's shaking her head. I feel she was energetically set up due to what they gave her. So if I give you something, if I feed you Mountain Dew every morning for breakfast, and when you grow up, you drink Mountain Dew, and people are like, well, that's weird. It's not really a breakfast drink, but you're like, I'm used to it. And then you can't remember what goes on in between the Mountain Dew. This is what she's saying to me. So I feel like she was basically indoctrinated within the context of the family unit, within the context of a fellowship, within the context of like a cult mindset. So this is what we do. This is how we do it. And we don't care that y'all do it that way or whatever. We all follow this way. That's what was so hard for her to break out of. She talks about having missing periods of time. Missing periods of time. What I feel, and I don't know this to be true, but I feel like she was a great writer, like an automatic writer. So I feel like she wrote down things, and I feel like she loses time because she's actually out of her body. In fact, I'm positive she's out of her body. So she lays and participates in life from around the meridians of the physical body, not necessarily grounded in. Some people are stubbornly grounded into their physical body, and you can't get them out for nothing. They can't meditate. They can't get out. She out like this, out like this. And that's what she says was the beginning cause of what they call, or society calls, her mental illness. I don't actually think she was, quote, mentally ill the way that they say it. They have to label people as what she's saying, and they didn't know what to do with her. They really didn't. Her family didn't. She was a truth teller in the family. They did not like that. She spoke the truth always. And guess what? She actually lived correctly. When she was done with you in a relationship, she moved on to the next one. What's wrong with that? Why is that mentally ill? Because you choose to do this and you choose to do that. That's how she's wording it to me. Now, you could say that's justifying, but I don't feel it is. I feel she lost track of a lot of time in her youth. A lot of time. So she may have practiced occult practices where things come in and out, and people do that before they understand exactly how harmful it can be when you do any kind of ritual to get out of your body on purpose. Some people just come in and out, you know, they astral travel. It's a genetic makeup. It's like being flexible or double jointed. It's something you're born with. But she practiced this within the fellowship. And it has a lot to do with her dad. Now, this is going to sound really weird, but the dad's secrets, and I'm using the word closeted, okay? So the dad's secrets were so closeted and so against the cult that he was in, or the ritual that he was in as far as religiously, that he actually made deals behind the scenes so that he could play in the life that he wanted to play in. You know what I'm trying to say, right? So play in the life that he wanted to play in, and the entire family was aware but not aware. So when he's talking like this, he's talking about the entire family. She is with her father, the entire family being aware that there is a huge pink elephant in the living room and nobody wants to talk about it. Meanwhile, Anne comes in there and points at the elephant and goes, look, look, look. And that's the beginning of what they want to call her mental illness. She was hidden and saw a lot as a small child. She was medicated not from her own doing as a small child. She was in and out of her body as an 8-year-old onward, probably genetically, and she comes from a lineage that isn't entirely human. I know I'm going to sound bizarre when I say that. She's trying to show me that she comes from 3 different sources. So it's like there were 3 different people in her. Now, this is Gemini to begin with, okay? So like this is how Gemini does things. They do things from a multitude or a platitude of different temperaments and personalities. However, she's really telling me that genetically she was connected to 3 different lineages. So there were 3 different basic expressions of who she was and what she was as a person, okay? So what she did, definitely driven by agendas. She talks about following something in her life so strongly, like, I'm going to follow this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be this is what I'm going to do. And then suddenly she wakes up and she's like, I don't know why I did that, I want to do this. So she said she was very unaware of what person A was doing to person B to person C. So what I take that to mean, that could be multiple personality disorder with a spiritual undercurrent. So she had been agendized by the father's history, lineage, behavior to pursue in a particular way. He used her as a way of getting what he wanted to get. And so she carried that on, and it took her a long time to break away from it. She kind of slaps my face the other way, slaps the other way. Could not believe when she made some personal decisions for herself that she was blackballed. Could not, but like, fuck you, could not believe it. Like, could not believe it. Like, betrayed beyond, betrayed. Not just by 1, but 2. And she's talking about one of her lovers. And I'm kind of chuckling because she wanted a strong connection with her family. And I guess she did to a degree. I can't even speak to that. But she wanted a strong connection. One of her lovers in this life was very reticent of her father. So he was with women, but he liked men. And he was in the closet about it for himself. Okay, like, I think people know, but... And this man kind of looked like her father. I have no clue who she's talking about because there are many men. She had many lovers in her life. So what? She's like, so what? So what? She's kind of funny. She's like, and? She said, no, it doesn't matter. That does not make her mentally ill. And the behaviors and the depression and the sadness she felt was because she was in and out of her physical body. She was behaving as one way, had no memory of it, dropped back in, heard what she did, responded to it energetically, which is normal. You can't do that to somebody or have it done to you, jump back into your body, have no recollection of what you did over here, and not think you're going to have a physical response to it. And we label things on the society to keep people stuck, to keep them stuck in boundaries, to keep them stuck in boxes. She didn't like that at all. She's like, I do not like that at all. And you were never going to control her. Never. This is coming from her. Never. She had her Mars in Sagittarius. So to me, that's pretty funny because anybody with Mars in Sagittarius, number one, they love the physical vibration of fun and action. So they do a lot of things. But if you have a Mars in Sagittarius, number one, you're going to attract people to you that don't want commitment and struggle with commitment. And you yourself don't want to be chained down. So on a physical level, you don't want to be chained down. And she is a Gemini with a Mars in Sag. So that's very fitting because those are kind of in opposition to each other. So even though they would talk about commitment, get married, have kids, whatever, live together, there was no need for the commitment on her end. Okay, so she's like, nah, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. So it was very hard to pin her down, and her moral compass had been confused as a child. There were things that she had done, young, 3, 4, 5, that she observed. Now, remember this. When you have children and you think your baby's a baby, well, they're a baby, and they can't speak and they have no way of knowing what you're doing. Like a baby sitting in a buggy watching you put your makeup on knows you're doing something, but doesn't know what that is. Not going to go back 30 years later and go, yeah, my mom was putting her makeup on. But they absorb the intention behind what you're doing. So you're putting your makeup on, you're either happy or sad. Now, what if you're a straight man who's gay and you're having an affair and you brought your daughter with you because your wife uses your daughter as a way of you having to take the daughter so that you don't cheat on your wife because she knows, but she can't tell anybody because you're in a cult, a religion, and she can't do that. And so if she can't do that, she sends a kid with you. And so now you go to your lover's house and the kid is in the buggy or the chair or the high chair watching TV, whatever it is, and you're doing what you do, and the child is absorbing it from another room because don't think she wasn't, she was. So there were a lot of things she had, and it's funny because she got blackmailed in her life. Her dad got blackmailed, she got blackmailed. So she was like, this was a cycle, and it seems to have come from the father's side of the cycle. I will tell you, outrageous ancestral karma with the car accident thing, and that's why it was implemented in her death, because her brother died in a car accident, she died in a car accident. It was implemented to distract. Now I'm asking specifically about the death process. She does not like Ellen, if that's what y'all are going to ask. The reason she doesn't like Ellen, at least energetically, is because Ellen was not particularly nice to her and overly controlling and did not deliver what she said she was going to deliver. So the reason that they dated was an energetic, I'll use the word karmic balance pull, okay? And it's like this. We got to be together. We got to be together like this. But it was vibrationally out of alignment, and it was for her the entire way along. She ran herself ragged trying to connect. Ragged. And after that relationship, I think we're looking at it now. At the time, I remember hearing about it, reading about it, whatever, seeing it on TV. But looking at it now, I'm pretty sure she was in a trauma bond with a really intelligent woman. That's how she describes her, as a really intelligent woman, but not to be trusted at all, and a backstabber. That's what I'm hearing. They called her the backstabber. She's saying she's the backstabber. She's the backstabber, okay? So Anne died as a result of an undercurrent and a paranoia that she was aware that she was going to pass. That is why she was fleeing the scene. So in her mind, somebody was actually getting ready to harm her or to hurt her. And this is what she thought. This is what she thought. Sorry. It's what she thought, because that's why she was speeding through the streets. And I wasn't on fire. Okay. So I'm just going to go out on a limb here and I'm going to say something fucking crazy. She wasn't on fire. Yes, I know the entire police department, LAPD, fire department, paramedics say she was. I understand what I sound like. I wasn't on fire. I'm sorry, I got to say it. So I don't believe that she was actually on fire. And I'm going to say this. She literally, I feel like, this is really a strange thing to say. They targeted her for some time. 2 years prior, some sort of a deal on a financial... Okay, as I was saying before the camera cut off, 2 years prior to her passing, there was something on a financial level where there was a lot of deception and a lot of lies. So she was trying to correct this through paperwork, through legal things and stuff like that you do. This had to do with things she owned, and they were taken from her, okay? They were taken from her. Now, there's a connection to her oldest son and her youngest son, obviously. And it's like she wants to clap her hands and say, boys, stop fighting. And she's talking about their father of the youngest son, the oldest son, and the baby son. So the baby son's father and the oldest son, all three of them, she wants them all to stop fighting. This disturbs her greatly. The oldest son is full of integrity and has an absolute concern for his mother's everything that his mother has, and he understands what happened. So he knows what happened. He knows what happened. I don't feel she caught fire. From what I'm feeling, I don't feel she caught fire. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I don't feel she caught fire. I do feel she was targeted, and I'm going to say something else kind of odd. If I follow you through the streets, from your coffee shop to your house to the grocery store, and you see me and I look suspicious and you've been threatened, are you not going to react perhaps out of paranoia? Because that's what they wanted her to do. So she was forced into responding the way that she responded in order to avoid what she thought was going to happen, which did happen. And there was a complete takeover of her stuff. Stuff was stolen from her right after she died. Somebody got right to her house, and it's not a family member. It's not the husband. It's not the kids. It's not like this. Paperwork is being thrown around. It's a dark-haired man. Paperwork is being thrown around and looked for because there's some assets or information on this paper, but she's smarter than that because it's on a flip drive, desk drive. She actually says flip drive. So it's on a flip drive somewhere, and I feel like she hid it. It's locked. It's hidden. She has a friend that knows what I'm speaking about. She has a friend that she told I hid this information, but she had a lot of information. She had a lot of information, and somebody's smirking about the fact that she died. So there's several people who do not like the fact that she could have lived and made sure she didn't live. They took her organs, they took her consciousness. Okay, so, and then we're going to talk about this. I believe that God comes and collects all of his, okay? Something with Anne is still tied to this side of the veil, if you will, the astral level. Obviously, she's not in her physical body. And I feel 100% that they captured the uniqueness of her energy and captured it. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to capture her. She won't be captured, but she comes from 3 different places. That's why she was a target, and her family set her up early in life. So the family itself had gone down this path, which is why she ended up in the occult ritual kind of world, because she was in it, okay? So I'm getting this very clear. She was in it, and that is why she ended up like that. But the consciousness of her, the consciousness, the essence of consciousness. Now, I'm going to tell you something. This is what she's showing me. Forgive me because it's going to sound wackadoodle. She's showing me that when you die, and I know this to be true, you either leave through your crown chakra, your solar plexus. So through the upper stomach area, the crown chakra, I usually see when I've been around people who've passed, whether it be natural or accident, they're leaving through the crown chakra. Sometimes they can't get out that way. They go through the solar plexus, through the stomach, and they are pulled up. It's one or the other, really, that I've seen a lot. But she is showing me that when you are afraid, and when you are sad, paranoid, afraid, that it lowers your vibration. We know this. It lowers your vibration. And she's showing me that as she was dying, they were taking, I don't know who the they is. I doubt they're actually physically human. They might be something else. They were taking her consciousness in a direction that was not ascending, but more bound down here. So she is around here right now, not in a negative way. She's not in hell, nothing. That's not what I'm talking about. They're trying to capture her consciousness. She is involved in a spiritual war between the essence and power of herself. She is one of God's and will cross over, but she's been held down here. So they want her to see something. And I think it's only been a year, right, since she passed? Might be a bit longer. I don't think it's been like a decade or anything. It's just recently. But they want her to fight for the essence of who she is. So they want her. She can hear everybody that prays for her, everybody that talks to her, most worried about her kids and like this, stop fighting. Like she's like that. She's kind of a fun mom. She just wants them to stop fighting. Stop fighting is all I'm hearing. Stop fighting. But they're trying to keep her consciousness. They're trying to recreate who she is. And she's saying, you can't recreate who I am because I'm already who I am. So you cannot duplicate me. And it's something to do with the way that her energy vibrates. It's what they wanted to take. And it goes all the way back. She does have a mother wound, but it goes all the way back to what the father did and what he practiced in his life early on. And I don't mean sexually, I'm talking about ritually, okay? Like the way that he practiced and what they did behind the scenes, that's what I'm talking about. That forced this into action, and she was almost free of it. And then they told her, we're coming for you. They remind me of a bunch of thugs. So I feel, honestly, I feel like she tried to put her foot on the brake and it went on the gas. Okay, so there was confusion about that. Like I'm slamming my foot into the car, like trying to brake it. And not brake the car, but put the brakes on, and it's not working. It's only speeding up. And when I hit the building, I'm not really there. I'm not really there. I'm not really there. So I don't know if she got out and they found her. I don't know how it would be after you hit and then things burst into flame, but I'm not really there is what she's saying. So for some reason, she's not connecting with the hit of the car. Like she probably bounced out of her body, truth be told to that. And she's talking about they were trying to harvest me, harvest my energy, take my oxygen, harvest me, take my oxygen. So she's talking about that. She was just about to literally start talking is what she's saying. I was going to start talking. But it's more about what she experienced in her childhood. It's like not anybody else's secrets, but she was going to start talking. And they did not want her to talk. So she knew she was a target. She knew she was a target. And you know what? I don't know why I'm going to say this, but I'm going to bring it up. So forgive me for this one. Okay, Jimmy Fallon. There's a finger pointing at Jimmy Fallon. I have no idea. I don't think he did anything. That's not what I'm saying. But she's finger pointed at Jimmy Fallon. I don't know if he said something to her or warned her or if he needs to be warned. I don't know what this means. I just see the finger pointed at him, so I'm going to bring that up. I see that. I see that. It was a roller coaster of a life for her. Roller coaster of a life. I'm not on fire. I'm not on fire is what she says. I'm not on fire. I cannot feel this. I am not on fire. I almost feel like she was removed. I'm not saying she wasn't damaged. I think when you hit a brick wall, a house, anything, you're gonna be in pain. But I'm not on fire. I'm not on fire. I'm on fire for different reasons, but I'm not on physical fire. Okay, so she's talking about that. Lots of paperwork being stolen, lots of stuff being rearranged, people talking. Now, the older son that has a lot of concern for her and is authentic with his concern, and she loves both her kids. Oh my God, she loves both her kids. It's so funny too, because she knew exactly who she wanted to have kids with and why. I'm talking like back in her head. She knew exactly who and why she wanted to have kids. And then she didn't want to be with the men anymore. So she had like a real short attention span for when it came to being with people. She wanted the children. The older son is someone is whispering in his ear. Someone is talking in his ear. That's why this is going on. Talk. It's about another 4 years before everything's settled. We have 1 year. They're fighting though. The family is fighting for the correct information to come out. So there's something going on behind the scenes where everybody's fighting for the correct information to come out. Like, I want the correct information to come out. So something is not correct about what they reported, and the family is actually fighting this or following through or finding out information about that. And she had so many plans. And personally, when I'm looking at it, I know her podcast partner, Heather. And I remember, this is like a strange thing to say, but I remember when Heather started working with Anne, and they had asked if they could come for a reading, but at the time it was COVID and Keith had left. And so I was like, I don't feel like talking to people in person. Like, it was just, I didn't want to. And I wish I had of now, because this happened. So there might have been more of an understanding about what was going on underneath and what she wanted to talk about, because I almost feel it was about anything but her creative path. There was something going on underneath the current. I can feel it. She's shaking her head. Yes. I can feel that. Like, I can feel that underneath. I feel like she misses her friends. She misses her life. This is not, fucked up. Fucked up. She was being threatened. So anybody who knows her out there probably understands how she's being threatened. She was being threatened. They made her look weird. She wasn't weird. She wasn't really high. None of that. They made her look weird. They did it on purpose. They set it up on purpose. See, she's kind of showing me that she would get thoughts in her head and be very impulsive. Oh, you guys see. She would be very impulsive with the thoughts, and the impulsivity could make her seem like she was crazy or whatever. But she really wasn't, and she's still not on fire. I'm not on fire. I wasn't on fire. That's not what happened. Not what happened. They put something in her mouth. They tried to shut her up. She went somewhere, and it was very dark and underneath something. So this is a weird thing too. I think they took her to a hospital basement or a basement somewhere. That's what I actually think. I think they took her to a basement. Even weirder, I'm getting weird shit now. Even weirder, the AFTRA-SAG striker with the AI, she's talking about taking the consciousness of people for the AI, and that's what they're trying to do to her. That's what they're trying to do. Not just take your physicality, but your consciousness, the level of expression that you exude on an energetic level. They're trying to duplicate this. And so there's something with that. Plus, she was writing something that nobody wanted her to write. She was like, I'm going to be writing this. I'm wondering if she would like get information psychically and write it, because she's a damn good channel. And a medium, straight up, like no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But this started with her in childhood. And the mental illness aspect of it comes from the reactions to the environmental stressors that she picked up on a psychic level. That's entirely different than I'm batshit crazy. Or that I'm having mental sadness and anxiety. We all have had that. That's not what she's talking about. She literally shows me her body, and it like registers. She seems real calm on the outside, and it registers shit. She's out of body quite a bit. She's pulled out of her body. She's not in it. She's not grounded in that body. She is pulled out of her body. So a lot of her problems come from mismanaging the memories of like, I did this over here, but somehow I ended up over here. So she's confused about that. There's confusion. So there's a lot of confusion. I don't know if I did another video on Anne, but if I did, this is my second video. If I didn't, this is my first video. And once again, my name is Sloan from SloanBella.com.